the approval of the agenda and order of business, and I don't have any changes that I'm aware of. No.
I just wanted to mention one thing that has been on my mind. Until yesterday, in our agenda package, we had nothing to review but the minutes of the previous meeting. And I've noticed that in the last, say, couple of years, we've seen a degradation of the amount of material we get in advance, and we're getting a lot of stuff last minute. And if it continues, that from now on, I'll be asking for those last minute items to be taken off the agenda, because giving it the day before is not acceptable. There's no reason why we can't have this material in advance so that we can actually review it. Shouldn't be like a movie that I go to and I don't know what the story is going to be. I should know in advance. And if the deadline isn't council day, the deadline is like long before that, so that we can actually have some time to look at it. Sometimes we're doing something the night before, and reviewing it that night before is not an option. So,
Well, I know you tried to get it out.
We did try to get out.
there's no try. There's do or take it off.
Well,
Unless it's an emergency, most of the stuff isn't. And we get it last minute, and there's no reason for it. And I've noticed if we're slipping back into that habit, and I'll stop that. Does anybody disagree?
I mean, I like to get it as early as I can, but I also know that sometimes there are difficulties in getting it done.
Then don't do it.
We meet every week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This one was, the only reason we put this one on was council had seen it several times, we had discussed it, and then it's just a notice of intention, so council didn't have to make a decision today since we're in Cal, but understand, we can.
Well, we have nothing to review for this entire meeting, except for the minutes from the last meeting. That's not good enough, I don't think, for this government.
yeah, Gina.
Yeah, I don't speak quite as strongly as Andre, I don't think. But I agree with the opening remarks, Andre's opening remarks, and that, I do agree with that. It is a challenge when we are committed the night or two before, or a time period. It doesn't always mean that we're committed, of course, and can get something at 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 8 o'clock at night, whenever. And I know we're busy, but I do respect Andre's input there in the comments, and I agree with that in terms of the timely fashion. And I also understand that this was something, a particular item, but we could go back and talk about the last number of months and talk about a few things, but we won't. But in this case, I am fine with receiving this, knowing that we had it before. And also too, Manny had given us an update, a heads up that we were going to receive. So I was anxiously looking for the building options presentation as well, again, respectfully, because we had been noted, that was noted last Thursday, that was coming to us this week. So I kept looking and wondering where it might be. Yeah, so a number of items, so. But I think Andre asked if anyone disagreed, and I don't think anyone did disagree here at the table, that is the case, that they would like to receive it in a timely fashion, correct?
Well,
Of course.
And I'm sure staff, realizes that if it's something that can be set aside for the week to be more prepared, they would do that. I would think, there's situations where,
just ask them to try to do a better job.
yeah,
Well, I think there might be this underlying feeling they want to get it off their desks and get back out in front of the council, but if it can't make the day, then just push it out a week or two or whatever. It's fine.
Well, if we can't get everything, I'll cancel the meeting. We don't have to be here.
Even better.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do our best. Okay, anything to add to the agenda? Somebody want to move, we approve it as,
so moved as, I don't know if it was amended yet. Okay, so moved.
Second.
Scott, all those in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. Public input, I'm unaware of any other presentations.
Correct.
Okay. Minutes of the previous meeting, committee of the whole, September 7th. Errors or omissions? Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. Things are off to a wonderful start, as you can see. Okay, municipal building options.
All right.
Great. Yeah,
Good morning, everyone. Great to see some familiar faces. My name is Jason Angel,
And my name is Eva Saidan.
and we're from RV Anderson Associates. We're in Dartmouth. And we're here to talk to you about your two buildings and how they can come together. Just a little background on the Andre's point. We did strive very diligently yesterday to get the presentation to you folks in advance. Little over a week ago, we were asked to prepare a second option. Took a little bit of extra time for us, but we were able to get that together and get it into the presentation. Presentation was done 2 or 3 days ago. I reviewed it. I had to spend some extra effort to get the second option into the presentation, so that's my open and honest answer as to why we were delayed. But regardless, we're moving forward, so presentation.
Jason, we weren't trying to beat that one here.
No, yes, I understand the process. And Andre, I was beating up on my staff yesterday, and Eva will tell you that, I was contacting all kinds of people. We have to cut this off at a certain time and get it to you folks, so I do apologize. In any event, so we're here to talk about the two buildings. We understand that the municipality is growing, lots of challenges, you need to have functional, usable space. We've been engaged by the municipality of Chester back in August to undertake this options analysis of the two buildings to see how they'll come together and how they will serve you into the future. We've had a number of meetings with staff. We've come to the facility 2 times. We've issued questionnaires to get input from staff, department heads. We've consolidated all of that. We've taken information from staff that tells us what they would need now, what they need in the future. Put that all together in 2 nice options. And Heba is going to take you through existing conditions, option 1, option 2, pros and cons, and that's going to be it. And then we'll open the floor for questions.
thank you.
Okay?
Okay. So first thing, this is the site plan and we are currently here. And the purpose of the project is to connect these 2 buildings so we can solve all the problems. So basically here we have.
Including Andres.
Good luck with solving all the problems.
We will try to.
All
So
you can do.
the project that the public, the visitors will have so many entrances that maybe they will be lost at the end. They can access from 4 different entrances, and this is not really okay for, like, maybe you cannot you'll be sitting in your desk and you can see someone from the public just asking for something else in the other building and things like that. So the connection will, in the connection, we will have a main entrance, 1 entrance for all, for staff and for visitors. Of course, we will keep the other entrances as exit emergencies or additional entrances. And then we will have smoother circulation. We will have more space, additional space. We see that there is a lack of space. You need more storage. You are growing, so you will need more people. So you need more space. And we will need to organize the departments differently so they can communicate in a better way. This slide.
It's not coming up. So far this way. Okay. Techno challenge.
Yeah, Emily will fix it.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
I think that, okay.
She's delayed.
Yeah.
30-second delay, sorry.
So let's take a look to the actual buildings with the actual departments. So this is the annex building. There is the storage, the recreation, the conference room where we met last time. Here we can find the buildings, the planning, the break room, and the bathrooms. And if we go to the main building,
If it'll go.
yeah, we'll go.
Just takes 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wow.
So as you can see here, we have like both entrances, same here, we have both entrances. And here we have the admin, the IT, the more storage here and there, the council chamber. the public works and the corporate strategic services and another break room and a small conference room. So this is the actual,
What we
floor
have
plan.
today.
Yeah, okay, so,
How are we gonna do this? Oh, we lost it.
Yeah, no, I know.
so like this is a site plan with all the activities of the lower level in both buildings all together. And if we go to the next slide, we will see same thing, all the departments in the upper level everywhere.
Not going. Oh. This is the lower level.
Yeah,
Can't get it to go to the next level. This thing?
This is just, okay, pause for one brief moment, everyone.
Yeah,
It's all Cliff's fault.
Not supposed to say that here.
Yeah, yeah.
tell you. You guys should all go back to paper.
Yeah. Flip charts.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
At least everybody knew how to make it work.
Does it need another double A battery? So going on?
It just synced it back with the system.
hopefully.
Yeah.
Sorry, because-
I think it's just. Worked better before.
Please open the quick share drive.
Take that week till later.
Uh,
Yeah, you might get your wish you're hungry.
Wish for delays.
Where's
What I was saying, yeah.
I just have to read. Bear the salt now, Emily. Okay. There we go.
Oh, hang on. Oh, here it is, look at that.
Upper level,
There you go.
upper, there we are.
There we are.
Tell the next flick.
Yeah.
See.
The finger shots, go ahead, Eva.
Yeah, so this is the existing upper level with all the departments. We can go to the next slide, so.
Oh, look at this.
Okay, so this is a bubble diagram, and what's a bubble diagram? We usually use circles and ovals to represent the functional program and explore the relationship between all the areas. So we can translate an idea into visual representation. So like we see here, we know that buildings and planning need to work together all the time, so they need to be next to each other, and that admin, finance, and storage needs to be accessible by all, and everything works all together. So we will see that in the option 1.
Okay,
Yeah. So for option 1, this is the location of the new building. We will go through the more details later. So the main entrance will be this side of the building. The public will use this parking to go to the link. I'm calling it the link. And then we will have an overflow parking here for staff, and they will use another entrance here that we will explore later. Okay, so this is the existing floor plan, same there, and this is the proposed,
geez.
yeah, like the shape of the building. So we will have a rectangle connecting these two with like a corridor to access to this building through the break room from the lower level, and you will see from the upper level. So here we'll have a main entrance, a reception, and all of this is the additional space, and you will have an elevator and stairs, because of course we need accessibility, and it's the main problem for this building. We go to the upper level, we will have the same thing, so we will access to the annex building through the break room, and from this side, we will access through the current entrance that we came through today. So we will have an additional staff entrance here, so people can go to the council chamber, for example, easily without going through all the buildings. Okay? So this is the floor plan with all the departments now. This is the lower level, so we can have the storage in all the area there in the annex building. Then we will keep the conference room because you asked for it. We will ask to keep the conference room. So we will have the planning here and the buildings here, so they are connected to each other. We will have gym room and showers, another lunch room, a big meeting room because you asked for three big meetings room at least. And we will have a small meeting room so you can talk to visitors or clients, or so they don't need to go to all the buildings. And then we can go here and we will have more space for the IT, and we can convert the entrance to a lunchroom. We will have access to outside. We can have barbecues, staff celebrations or something like that. And this is for the lower level. We can go to the upper level. We will have the public works all together in the annex building there. We'll have the recreation here and there, another meeting room, all the admin and finance here. We will keep the council chamber in the same spot. We will have the corporate strategic services here and a bigger break room or lunch room. And we will have the staff entrance from this side.
Okay.
So this is like a 3D site plan, so we can see the building, how it will look like in a site plan. So this is the proposed additional building. So we will have the overflow parking. Staff can go from this way and just access to the building, and the public or staff also can access to the building from this way. Okay. So this is the south elevation. You can see like this is the main entrance now,
Okay.
and this is the connection. To look something like this. This is from the other side of the building. So this is the entrance to the recreation now. And we will have like something similar, so the building will look.
That's actually, well, I just have to mention, that all looks like a set of steps to get into recreation. So how does that meet our accessibility standard?
For the accessibility, we only need like one entrance. If it's there, it's okay. So everyone will access from
Oh,
this
they can update.
building from the main entrance only, and then they can go everywhere.
So once they get in, there's elevators and then they
Yeah.
can kind of pull through.
Yeah.
These are some elevations, so you can see like how it will look like from all the sides. And yeah, that's basically it. Now we'll move to the second option because you asked for a second option that we can build without touching the exterior walls. So it was developed to eliminate all the connections, like the direct connection between the walls, like the other option. So here we can see that the main entrance will be in the same spot. We will have like a third building with two corridors or two connections.
So one benefit to this option is that building can be built without disrupting activity in the other two buildings.
Yeah.
So you maintain your functionality during construction. I mean, you have to put up with that, but this allows you to go forward without the first option, big disruption.
Yeah.
So we will go through the same process. We will have the main entrance, same thing, a reception, the elevator, stairs. We will go through the break room and the corridor, which is already there. And for the upper level, it will be the same thing, the staff entrance, then they will go from the current entrance and here through the break room, actual break room. Then for the floor plan, we will have a small meeting room and then all the planning and the building. I know that they are not next to each other, but they are connected through a corridor, so that's fine. We will have additional storage in the corridors, so we can use them for additional storage. And basically, everything is the same. We try to, even if it's smaller, but we have all the activities and departments as the first option. For the upper level, so we will have same thing, staff entrance, all the activities like the other option, and here the admin, finance, the recreation, and the public works in the annex building. So here we can see that there is a third building. It's really there, and we have a connection here and another connection here with the public main accessible entrance here as usual, and the proposed overflow parking and another entrance for staff. We'll go through the 3D models. Yeah. So we can go to the next.
So, does everybody see how this works?
No.
So this is. Exactly, and I thought maybe, yeah, Heba, you can explain that and how they're connecting to the two buildings.
Okay, so this is the main building, and this is the annex building from there. This is the connection. So this is the main part of the building, and this is the corridor that I showed earlier, and we will have another corridor like here. We will see it maybe from the other side of the 3D. Yeah, we can see the corridor. Of course, we will have windows and maybe an entrance or something, but yeah, this is.
So that's a proposed new building in the center, is that it?
Yes.
But it's our two existing buildings and that middle one connection.
Yeah, so we're right here right now.
Yeah.
We're upstairs right there.
Yeah.
This is the proposed main entrance, so accessibility off the parking surface, come in, do what you need to do. That's the annex building.
Yeah.
It looks a little odd, where you come in, where the new entrance will be. It seems awfully close and you have windows on the upper level, but it's so close to that building.
Yeah, it's just like a sketch or something. Once you approve one option, we can go through it more because we didn't prepare floor plans. We wanted you to approve one option or another. So it's just like a sketch. We will remove all these windows, of course, and make it practical.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So good comment, and like Heba says, this is very preliminary. It's just a concept, and
It almost looks like two buildings too close together.
yeah, you're right, yeah. Okay. So again, the elevation, maybe you can see them or later, because yeah, there's more details, the same thing as the 3D model. So now it's the last thing, the pros and cons of each option.
Of course.
For option one, we will have a unified appearance. So someone from the street, when we will look, you can see that it's the same building. And we will have an improved circulation because the circulation will be smoother. There was no corridors, nothing, so people can just circulate normally. We will have an increased space because we will have more space. We will have 370 square meters per floor additional if we choose this option. Of course, we can make it smaller if you want, but we can make it that big. And for the cons, we will have a temporary disruption for sure because we are touching the exterior walls, so it will disrupt daily activities. It can have a higher cost because it's bigger and we will touch again the exterior walls. For the option two, the pros are it can be more cost efficient because it's smaller, and the disruption will be less because we are not touching the exterior walls, only connecting it through corridors. For the cons, we will have more limited space. And we will see the visual separation. We will see 3 separate buildings with a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so one comment before the question is asked, somebody's gonna ask, well, what's this gonna cost?
Yeah, well.
Of course, and so we don't have an answer for you today. And I talked to some of our folks that do that cost estimating. I said, what do we need to get this cost estimate together? They said, we need to identify which option is preferred. Then we can do a schematic floor plan layout. Then we can get square footages, then we can do the cost estimating. I just wanted to throw that out there right now. So I think what has to happen now is we've made this presentation. It needs to be accessible to everybody here. So that will come through staff. And then at some point in time, we are going to get direction on what's the preferred. We will look at the cost of that option. And we've been asked to say, okay, say pick option one, what's the cost to do that? And what is the cost of that versus replacing the entire facility with a new building. And that's something that we can do, but we need to know what square footage is. So we're gonna leave that on the table now, and we expect to move forward on that when we get some direction.
Okay, Andre, then Floyd?
I just wanted to ask, what kind of square footage are we talking about with either option? Like, I know it's schematic at this point, but.
Yeah.
You know, how much the extra each option?
Yeah.
So the first one was 300
170 per floor for the first option,
meters.
square meter, yeah.
That's
And for the second one, it's 300 square meters per floor again.
That will be gaining.
Yes, that's the new space.
The additional, yeah.
That's the new space.
Obviously, there's a ton of architectural stuff to work out.
Okay, Floyd?
Yeah, the present buildings that we have need a lot of work too, my understanding.
Yes.
Is that all under this new plan? Like,
So that's a really good question, Floyd. When we were here in our first meeting, we met with all the department heads and we went through the building. And we said, okay, well, what's happening here? What's happening with these windows? What's happening with the ventilation? What's happening with the wire? You're absolutely right. To take it from now to say 30 years out, there's significant upgrades. Once we identify what option that is, then we look into that. We look at the mechanical upgrades, what electrical upgrades, accessibility, windows, doors, flooring, all that kind of stuff. We're not there yet.
okay, but there's a lot of. My understanding, just to do the upgrades for those we have, if we use cost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't know what,
One way or the other,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, we have people in here measuring like where the light switches are. Or listen, everything's gotta change in order to meet the accessibility, which is what prompted all this. Yeah, Andre.
I was just gonna say, I don't think we actually have to. Retrofit it for many years. It's
Well-
only- it's not mandatory. Maybe the new piece, but.
for accessibility.
Yeah, but in terms of fixing old infrastructure, I don't think we actually have to. Literally change it.
I think and I'm not a mechanical electrical engineer, but I've worked with a lot of them over the years. Regardless of what you do, once you open something up, then you have to meet today's code.
That's true.
So
That's why
we don't touch the two buildings, you don't have to do anything. New building's gonna have to meet today's code for accessibility and everything else.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I'm in favor of something where we touch the existing as minimally as possible.
Yeah.
But
Not only that, it allows us to still function.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that would include also not changing much of the partitions on the inside.
I guess that's the building that we dealt with on 23rd. We're not that far away.
Say that again, Floyd?
Yes, accessibility and all the upgrades of municipal buildings, don't they have the 2030, isn't there a deadline date for that?
That's not mandatory for retrofit.
I thought it was.
No, I think you should need to get some clarity on
We do need clarity on
Yeah.
that.
that. By certain, it's not a mandatory requirement to.
2030 is not that far away.
It is.
Well, one way or the other, we have to do something.
Yes.
Yeah, well, they're two distinct problems.
Yeah.
They have people sitting on top of each other, that's.
We've known about it for
Accessibility.
decades, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't given it enough thought, I haven't looked at it, I mean, it'd be nice if I had a paper copy of that, and I could sit and think about it for a week, but in a general sense, I would prefer the option where we just connect the buildings, because it allows us to continue to function, but nothing else. We have to shut this whole place down, and I mean, well, we have to go find ourselves. Oh,
Yeah.
Temporary spot.
well, yeah, and temporary, you can say temporary can take quite some time.
So how big is the proposed, have you proposed the size for the third building or based on this?
That's the number that we gave Andre, so it's 300 and,
70 per floor.
so what's that in square feet, so people can relate to this? We're of different vintages here. I work with square feet.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So-
Per meter size, I don't know.
So it's 3,200 square feet in the just joining by corridors or close to
The new
4,000.
Per floor.
Yes.
Yeah, no,
39.
no, total.
It's close to 4,000, no, 370 square feet is 4,000.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So
That's per floor.
Yeah, square meters is per floor. We're
It's significantly more than we have now.
8,000 square feet.
So are,
Real gain,
That's
So
what
are
you
you-
think.
between the two floors.
Yeah.
so that,
On the larger option,
On the large option, yes.
on the larger option.
so that's my next question. So the proposed new building are you proposing 2 floors or 3 floors? Are you thinking about going down for it? No,
It's only 2 floors.
2 floors,
Yeah,
both
2
options.
floors.
okay.
Two floors and you get what space you get. So the first option, because you're connecting to the buildings, you get the biggest envelope.
Mhm.
When we shrink it down to put 2 quarters, you get less, but that's what you get. There's nothing telling us what space you actually need. We're trying to maximize what you
Yeah.
can
What's
get.
available.
No, this is. the
What's available,
maximum.
that's it.
We can make it smaller, but this is the maximum we can do, yeah.
So on the first option, you're at about 8,000 square feet total for the 2 floors. And on the second option, you're at about 6,400 square feet.
But that's 6,400 more than you have today.
And that's just a shrub.
Well,
What do we think?
What's the staff?
Oh, I don't know that we need an answer today, no, just something.
no, no answer to that.
Yeah, Bill, there you go.
Bill.
Yeah, I mean, I think.
I think we're interested in getting feedback from council on, and I think what we were looking for was not an exact cost, but a magnitude of.
Yep.
Of the cost for doing this, so that they can compare that to what they think they would spend on a new building.
Right.
So that's
Well,
kind
that's
of what
also
they
part
were
of it.
looking for.
Big part of it will be the whatever retrofit is deemed to be required in the existing structures. Like costing out the new build is a lot easier.
Yes,
No, yeah.
yes, and that's why we can't provide it.
And trying to use our X-ray eyes to figure out what's behind the walls and stuff,
Yeah, you can't do that.
that's a lot more risk in that.
But it's gonna depend on functionality and where, then the changes will be made that'll tell us what we have to tear out. You know, one of the comments we heard about is temperature, ventilation in some of the spaces, and then also sound. You know, people are on top of each other, it's noisy, how are you supposed to function, people are wearing earphones, whatever. That all has to be addressed in the retrofit in the existing spaces, so what is the cost associated with that? We've captured all of those comments, so we need to incorporate that into the retrofit design cost, which is our next step, once we know the direction.
So,
Yeah, and what I wanna know is, if we were to choose the connection one,
Mhm.
does that meet our needs? Like,
Right.
you know,
Actually, it does.
well, I mean, we're meeting our needs without it, so.
That's right, but in the future, as you
Yeah,
grow.
for how many years, yeah.
Yeah.
so how do elevators figure into your plans here? I mean, this is,
They're expensive.
that's what yeah,
They're in the plan.
I know, but how many are you looking at in just one elevator?
Just
Yeah.
one, right, Eva?
Yeah,
Very expensive.
Yeah, one in the main entrance.
Yeah. Oh,
because
yeah.
other people can access, like staff can access from other entrances. So it's more for the accessibility or an accessibility purpose.
For the public.
Yeah,
You had a question?
I have a question.
Or legal question?
I'm just curious, if you, with option 2, the 3 buildings, you run into extra expense with, 3 separate buildings so close together. Did you have fire separation issues?
No, because they're connected with
Well,
core.
I don't know, but how would they be interpreted though, for fire code?
Yeah,
That's what I.
Don't know, sorry, don't have an answer. We can look into that for you.
Yeah, but that just goes through my mind, it's one
We can
building,
help out.
you don't have it, it's really one.
Yeah,
Might be extra fire protection.
That's what I'm thinking.
well,
Material.
Yes.
I don't know. It's a good question, but.
But yeah, I just want to throw it out there. So-
Yeah. Yeah, so that ended up costing us more than just going the other route.
okay.
Yeah. Anybody else, questions, comments? Yes, Tina?
Just a comment, thank you. A lot of work, thank
Yeah.
you. And appreciate also to, being the request that went to you for a second option, I think, recently.
yeah,
Yeah, from what I understood from the opening remarks.
yeah,
So that was a lot of extra work too. So thank you for the second option.
okay, thank you.
Again, short notice to turn that around.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but yes, so. I appreciate both options and having time to think about this. Because again, this was first explored, I think in 2009, maybe 9 or 11. So the space issue and the condition of the buildings has been at this table, not us here, but at this table for a long time. So to make the right decision. I believe when we were first presented with initial discussions, just for interest, I didn't vote to put our eggs in one basket, and that is to build on site. I'm just being transparent, right? So therefore, the question around disruption and all of that is now coming into play a little bit, but I appreciate the majority of council, and this is where we're at. So building on site, possibly building on site. So I just appreciate all the information, and it's going to be a lot to think about and not to digest. And again, because this has been a challenge since either 2009 or 2011, whenever that first options report came to this table, I have to look it up. It's not a rush decision for me anyway. It's not a rush decision. And also too, and I've said this before, the municipalities around me have all constructed new. So
Yes.
my community, I would hope, in my area is educated on the fact that these are decisions that are well thought out. So the municipality of County of Kings, new building, completely separate area, as well as the district of Lunenburg. Hants County, not so much, but they come together. So yeah, so it's a big decision. So I'm not worried about taking the time or making a really big, large financial decision for me. So more information to come our way. Lots of information to have in front of us.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, the council did make the decision to explore this as our.
Majority, yeah. Yep, no, I
All you can do.
That's what I said. Appreciate the majority.
So, I mean, what do you want to do? Take a week?
Well, I think we have to talk further with ourselves and look at it in more detail. I'm certainly not prepared to. Yeah, I mean, the cost, and I'll look at an idea of what it's gonna cost, I believe, even if it's just a rough one, worth it. And then we still got no building.
Well, see, and that,
I think we have to look at even if we're gonna, what we're gonna spend, and we still have a building, what that's old.
I got a question, with accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
I know that if we do retrofits here with accessibility, there's different levels of government, federal, provincial, whatever, you know, they'll contribute. So if you build a new building and you make it accessible, I wonder if those funds will be available as well.
No. I don't think. I think we're just.
I'd like to, that's a big, yeah. I don't know if that's something that's available.
We
Because that would make a big difference.
We're always going to explore funding options.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah, we're always looking for somebody else to pay for our project.
Well, just, you know, it makes,
Just look at the Gold River Bridge.
Yeah.
We waited for 10 years hoping somebody else would buy one for us. Nobody bought our bridge. Eventually we had to buy it.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too complicated, but I mean, council decided to go down this route.
Yeah,
So if we want to explore funding options, I mean, we can spend the money to get ourselves an estimate for both the projects, where we can save ourselves money and pick one and get that cost estimate. It's just what we have to.
I think that we need to get a copy of this presentation.
Well, yeah, so I'd like to take a week and think
And
about
we
it,
can
that's sure.
Spend some time talking about it again.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, I agree, but it's just, you know, like, if we're going back to this place where we started with, are we gonna renovate or are we gonna build a new building, then we just wasted our time.
no, we have to move on.
I don't think we wasted our time.
I don't think so either. I think we need to explore that.
We need to look at both,
I do.
you know, I do know we have an old building over there, I don't know how old it is.
Yeah.
The school, I'm not sure how many years ago that was built, but it's ancient. And we have an older building here, and I think we need to look at both options, but if the renovation is gonna be a huge number versus a new building,
Yeah.
it may be a little more, I know what
I agree.
but I think we did need to look at both options.
So
That's me.
to me, it sounds like, and I could be wrong, but Jason, maybe you can weigh in on this. It sounds like the second option.
Yeah.
Would probably be the most cost effective.
We will
because you
cost
have
that
to
one.
Touch those two, and then comparing that to the new build might be the two.
Yeah, why don't we do that? We'll cost that option with the renovations versus a brand new building for everything.
How much square feet do we have in the other two?
I don't know what the square footage is. Fred, do you know the square footage of the two buildings?
No, but we could get that, that's relatively easy.
So you're talking about that renovating like isn't 100% efficient, but you're not gonna save money by building a bigger, huger building, like the amount of that we're building is less than half of what we already have, I would say. So it's, if this addition costs, say, $4 million.
A new building that costs us 10 or 15.
It's gonna be 3 or 4 times that number, so, it's not gonna be like marginally more expensive, it's gonna be like many times more expensive.
That's why you fix your houses at a terrible dam.
Yeah, of course, like, if you're gonna go build a house and you talk to like a general contractor, they're talking like, we're talking about a house, not a public building. They're talking like $350 a square foot kind of thing. So around here, kind of, so for a regular just bungalow. So if it was $500 a square foot to build a building like this, well, that's $4 million. And and if we're building a standalone building and just attaching it to the other buildings with corridors, well, then we're gonna be in that neighborhood, I would think, and that's what it would cost. Now, you gotta take the square footage of the 2 other buildings, even if maybe you get a little bit of benefit because it's more efficient, because you don't have any constraints. You're gonna be doubling, tripling that number of square feet, well, then it's gonna be 12 million, 15 million, plus you have all the civil infrastructure, because we already have a site here with the parking lots, and we're building 1 new parking lot.
Water and sewer and all that.
All of that stuff's already built, so, so you have to add that.
Piece of land,
another
put it up.
$2 million, so. And yes, you have to find the right land, that's whatever that costs, so, so total cost for a new build, like just rough figures, like just spitballing here at the table, you're 15, 17, whatever $1 million, or you renovate and build a chunk on there, and it's gonna be 4. But yes, agree to Floyd's point. It's, you got an old car and we're gonna put a new engine in it, still an old car. It probably will work though for a lot longer than if we didn't put that, do the work to it.
It's old enough, it'll work longer than.
Yeah, but you have to decide how far you're gonna go with that old thing and decide, but I don't know. Yeah,
So do we want to do we want them to give us an estimate on the option that connects the 2? And the cost of new build?
I would look at that.
Sure.
Well, we gotta start something.
Just we do, but I still think we have to look at what's gonna cost to bring this up to.
Well, that's part of that.
Well,
Yeah,
I think somebody needs to come and say, what do we have to do? Because this whole idea that we're gonna somehow turn this building into the standards that we build a new building to, I don't think that's the requirement legally.
No, I
And
don't.
I want to eradicate that from the conversation, if that.
Just what makes practical sense.
I want to talk about what we were required to do. I'm not gonna turn this building into a new building. That's crazy, that doesn't make any sense. There's nothing more in town.
You gotta meet them.
Well, the accessibility part is important, but I think we do have to do them because of the level of government. And
Somebody will tell us.
The government will tell us what we have to do, we don't have to do more than that.
Okay, is that what we're gonna do?
Thank you.
And then will somebody get us a paper copy so we can look at this a little better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're ready.
Good luck to you.
Yeah.
You're like, you're pretty, we always want to be back.
Yes. So we'll do this next week and we'll have a prayer. That's what we're doing.
Like snake.
Yeah.
I know, but you could look at the big picture.
No, I don't. So wanted to know the cost of this.
You,
I am unmuted, 40 something.
Yeah. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much, everyone, for giving us the opportunity. My name is Richard Liu. I'm the founder, president, CEO of this public company called Solar Bank. I'm 33 years in Canada. I've spent my time with Husky, with Enbridge, with Toronto Hydro, so I consider myself as a one of the they call the utility people. So I'm here to present a infrastructure project for the wonderful Chester municipality, and hope that I can share enough information that enable you to make a decision to further enhance your economic development opportunities. I know you are leaders in renewable energy in Nova Scotia already. You have 34 turbines running. I also understand you have a strategic plan that's including the environmental stewardship and also including some of the economic development activities. I hope this renewable energy project with the province's community solar initiative will further enhance those initiatives.
Thank you.
And I'm here with Joe McNeil, and who is my Nova Scotia sidekick.
I'm the Nova Scotia development partner.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I'm one of the principals of Trimac Engineering, and we're a family firm. Started almost 10 years ago. We'll be celebrating our 10 years of business this year. And we have offices in Sydney and Halifax. And we started with myself, my brother, and father, three McNeils, hence Trimac. Our first year, we hired one of Dad's students. Dad's also he's an instructor at CBU, teaches the instrumentation and controls program there. So we hired his top gun from his last few years back then, and we rolled like that for a while. And I'm happy to brag that we're doubling our revenue this year over our previous year, which was also our record year. So we took this time to set the stage, and we're hitting our stride. We're 10 technical staff and one administrative manager, and so our core
revenue this year.
doubled our revenue for this year, or over our record year. By how much?
No, how much money is doubling?
We're tracking for 1.2 this year, so it's our first $1 million year as well. So we're quite proud of that. So we are, our core business is, you know, kind of typical mechanical, electrical consulting. We also are born from industry. Dad's got 30 years probably with consulting for Nova Scotia Power. That's kind of how I got my start as well. I spent, well, I still probably have 10 years with their hydro division. So I go around and work pretty closely with the hydro team and rehabilitate the hydro turbines here in the province. So all that is outside of what I'm doing with this guy. We got tangled up with each other 2.5 years ago, and we've been working aggressively to bring all the solar development that Richard is doing elsewhere in Canada and North America very successfully. I'm trying to bring it here as best I can, and so anyway, I'll get more into Trimac on the slides, but
30 minutes.
yeah, I know I want to keep her going. So yeah, thank you for hearing this presentation.
So I thought, you know, in the 30 minutes we're given, and followed with questions, answers. I have all the time that you need, and because this is important for us. So I was thinking to talk about introductions, what we are, who we are, what we do, and then we'll get into the Nova Scotia Community Solar Program. We'll talk specifically about the Kaiser Community Solar potential, and then we can have some discussions.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think, without saying that one of the biggest opportunities in the country, I would say, is Nova Scotia's commitment to net zero by 2050. I think the challenges are high electricity price, high emission, and also the determination to turn almost 80% of power from fossil fuel based to renewable by 2050. So that created about 1.4 gigawatts of opportunity for Nova Scotians to participate. And I think the total Nova Scotia demand is about 1.5 gigawatts. You can see how much of them, because the retirement coal and so on and so forth to do this. The opportunities actually is slipping away quickly. I was being taken up quickly. The government procured about 350 megawatts of wind, and the rate-based procurement, that contract has been issued last year. So 350 of the 1.2 is gone. The government are issuing another 500 megawatts for Green Choice program. Those are giving the large electricity users to buy renewables directly, and that contract will be issued. That will be gone. So by now, probably 800 megawatts of the 1.2 is gone, right? So what's remaining now finally is our turn, because I think municipalities such as Chester are not big enough to participate in the Green Choice program. You have to use gigawatt hours of electricity as well, so forth, right? So now it's our turn that will enable our people and our municipalities to be able to use electricity from green sources. And as you know, you have 34 turbines here. I think those electricity probably sold to the grid, right? And this one, then become a mix to reduce the carbon footprint. But this is directly through subscription processes that each individual can be part of the users. I did do some study. I find, you have a lot of experience in this area. The matter of fact that you have a very good solid waste experience or technology. I used to do waste to energy business before. So I know, incineration, I know gasification, I know how to turn syngas into hydrogen, but that we can talk later.
Yeah.
But for now, I would say there are adjacent areas that we talked about we could use, and this is what we are here for. My question to council members here is that you already have 34 turbines running, so you know how the business is set, right? We are no different.
We have 35, we have one of around.
Oh,
Matter.
wonderful. Oh, yes, you will see that one on my sideline, right? So you know how the business is done. We actually not going to impose on our ways of doing business, but rather adapt to your way of doing business to smooth out the processes, right? So the question is that, would Chester have the first community solar farms in this county, right? So that's the question. I think you talked about.
I covered some good ground on the Triac. These pictures are all, I'm a lot grayer than I was in that picture now.
Yeah.
We know all these people.
Okay, so we know a lot of these people. So I will go in. I would start with, your burning question is that, you give us a good talk. Where's the money? Where's the money, right? I will propose 3 options at the end of the day is that if Chester have money to invest, right, that you can be the owner and we can be the service provider. I promise you will be safe, reliable, and low cost because I come from a utility background. That's the mantra built into my head over the 33 years in Canada, right? But if you say, no, we want to collect $40,000 rent from that land and
the option.
it's all yours. Not a problem. We have money, and where's the money? Well, so we actually every year we raise flow through money from high net worth individuals. In the tax code, they have a Canadian renewable conservation expense. So that for high net worth individuals, that they are directed to contribute to renewable energy, such as small hydro, wind, battery, solar, EV charging, all of those technologies, geothermal. That's what we do, right? So the fund will raise capital to be the 20% project. Then that we have moved a couple $100 million of investment in Canada and the US. So we have banks, we have investment tax credit to make up the rest 80%, right? So
can I ask, these high investment individuals, are they Canadian or could be anywhere?
It has to be Canadian because this Canadian conservation expense has to be Canadian. Yeah. So that's the fund. If you ask me, where's the capital, where's the equity? And here's the equity, right? For us, as a Canadian company that I started back to 2013, so it's 10 years now. It went to public in March this year. We went public at 75 cents. It went to $10. Now currently is hovering between 650 to 750. And so that's the market cap is about $200 million. We do have another 200 million of prospectus approved by the regulator to allow us with further capital should the project need more capital to invest, right? And those logos are the companies that we worked with over the last 10 plus years. You can see Honeywell, Panasonic, Home Depot, Sungrow, Municipality of Union Spring, Casanova, Charlie's Philly Cheesesteak. You know, those are the companies we have worked with. I have, you know, I'd love to give you some references if you should decide to work with us.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Then we look at what is our business. As you know, in energy business, you have generation, you know, large coal plants or nuclear plants. You have high towers of you have low poles on the street as distribution, then services will keep the lights on, right? So the solar bank business actually is along the same vertical integration. We have generation, large solar farms in Yarmouth, in Cape Breton, in the Halifax area, Petapacific, in Guysborough. Those are the development projects, large 100 to 200 megawatts. And we also do large utility scale battery storage. Currently, we're building about $160 million worth of battery storage for Ontario grid, which to support their shortage in coming 2025, right? What I want really to brag about is our ability to build a community solar. We build a lot of community solar in the States, and Canada, you actually the only province the first time have a community solar program. So we really want to be #1 with you to do the first one here, right? So we do a lot of community solar. We directly selling power in the States to residential customers, to small businesses already. We have 2 contract call center, one in Boston, Chicago. They manage the customer interface. No difference if you pick a phone, call Nova Scotia Power, right? So that's the infrastructure we have behind. And we do a lot for the behind the meter stuff for Flora, for Home Depot, for those large companies, right? So you can see we are building a carbon zero utility covering both the electricity grid and the transportation grid through our public accessible high speed chargers. Right. So that's just a quick business. So the next one is just some of the pictures of the projects we done. You will see the site plan that for the potential Kaiser Solar Farm. This picture will show you how we fit into the environment, how we're taking care of the neighbors, you know, in relation to the installation. The one on the upper right corner actually is on a closed landfill in Manlius, upper state New York, just between Rochester and Syracuse. And you can see the neighbor on the top, it's just outside of the visual screening. Some people like to see a blue ocean of panels, some people don't. So what we do public meeting in permitting, we're making sure we hear very clearly from the people, and then we build those visual screens.
Well, one thing good about Kaiser Meadow, we have nothing.
And we're not killing birds. Yeah. So those are the experience, right? So one of the things that, you know, we look at this one is that, you know, we are fly by night company, you know, do we have a sustainability? I can tell you that we double our revenue every year for the last couple of years. We continue to build during the COVID times, get a utility company. And currently we make income from development income for JP Morgan in the world. We make money by constructing them for Honeywell of the world. We're making money by operating 125 of those solar installations for the Solar Flow Through Fund or for the Green Capital Fund of the world. And started the last year, we start to own the projects, right? Because our investors want us to own projects so they have recurring revenue. So looking forward to, let's say by end of 2025, we would have 100 million from the service fees, development fee, construction fee, operation maintenance fee, and another $100 million from owning the asset. Currently, we own three operating assets in the States and 5 operating state solar farms in Ontario. Okay. So enough about ourselves and why we are here, right? As I mentioned, in Nova Scotia, we have a 1.2 gigawatts of opportunity. 800 being taken, there's not 400 megawatts. In the 400 megawatt, the government says they could do community solar for up to 300 megawatts. And the first 100 will start in Q1 2024. So we are in front of you to say, here's the opportunity. Could we put effort together at our cost to provide a submission to the government in return for a contract? Then we can build a community solar project, and then have our neighbors to be the subscribers using carbon zero electricity, typically probably at a discount to their retail price. We had a very good meeting with the government yesterday. They are still debating how to work with the Nova Scotia Power. I think we were able to talk them into the thinking of that they are an enabler, but not a gatekeeper, so that less profit taking from the panels on your end. So that's what we talked about, right? So that's how basically it works, is that we develop project, we invest in the project, we own the project, we operate the project. The power goes on the grid. Then we will send emails, multimedia to ask the neighborhoods to say, would you like to be a subscriber using electricity from this solar farm in your neighborhood at a discount, let's say, right? So they will say yes, they will say no, and the billing are simultaneously, because called the consolidated billing by Nova Scotia Power. What happens is that they say, oh, your electricity costs us $100, right? We should charge you $100. Oh, you bought 90% of your power from Kaiser Solar Farm, and that doesn't cost you 17 cents a kilowatt an hour, only cost you, let's say, 15 cents a kilowatt an hour. So instead of you paying the $90, you're only paying for $80, you save $10 on the $100 bill. So that's kind of just the very, very, the bottom line. That's how it works, right? People can be owners. On the right-hand side, you can see municipalities. So you can be the owner, right? Not-for-profit, First Nations. We are, of course, a for-profit utility company, so we can be an investor, and there are co-ops. One thing I want to share with you is that in Ontario, 2/3 of my installations are co-owned with municipality of Kapuskasing of North Ontario. And so 1/3 was Kapuskasing, 1/3 was First Nation White Sand and Saguenay. So they are owning majority of it, actually.
I understand that is the case throughout Canada, but in Nova Scotia, I'm not sure that we're permitted public-private sector partnerships under the MGAs. Is that right?
The MGA, to my understanding, and Sam, you might be able to provide this, but there was some changes that were made a couple of years ago that allow us to invest and do budgeting or spend our money as long as it's in our budget. So I think there is some opportunity to do that, similar to how some of the municipalities were going to invest in broadband, and that's when the changes were made. But I think
I'd like to get some years ago.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this, and there was barriers.
Yeah.
And
I know
we're like the only
barriers at one
jurisdiction
point
in
for this.
Canada where we couldn't.
That's right, that's true. I think that may have changed.
I think it did.
Well, make sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's, my understanding is that the one change was intended to allow this type of project to happen. But I think the MGA still says no private public partnerships, but we are
There are
allowed to
exceptions to it.
invest in projects like
I
this.
like clarity.
Yeah. So one of the creative ways is that when we move in hundreds of millions of dollars, when you're only asking 20% equity, that's still tens of millions of dollars. We recognize that our budget constraints are cash constraints, so that our investors have a way to actually loan the capital to the equity partner so that they can pay the interest and the principal over time, because this project is going to be 35 years long, right? So that are ways to finance the equity part of our municipal or First Nation or co-op partners. So easy said than done. And by Q1, the government is expecting application packages. In the package, they will be asking, do you have site control? In other words, will we have a lease with your land, right? So that's one. They will be asking, have you done your basic engineers, which we have done? Have you reviewed the bylaws and the permitting requirements? We will have done. At the end of the day, they will say, have you had the discussions with the neighborhood? So those are the slew of things that we have to put into this application. We have done this many years, as most of our contracts are government contracts anyway. So we are truly familiar with the process. Tracy and Ina online, and they are the production line for government application packages. So that's we are fully capable of doing it. As a company, we do origination, we do development, we do interconnection. We are a licensed engineering consulting firm, so we produce the construction drawings ourselves. We have construction credentials, so that we actually are the GC, and we hire local labor, mechanical, civil, electrical to do the construction and to do the maintenance. With a 10 megawatts solar farm, you probably will need one FTE to maintain the operation of it. No matter how passive it is, someone still need to cut the grass, someone still need to let the sheep in, someone still need to taking care of the beehives and all of those things, right? So that's who we are. So this is, I will show you our activities in Nova Scotia. A lot of people tell us, oh, wind is in Nova Scotia, the sun doesn't shine as much. I can tell you, your sun actually shines just fine. Your sun is actually better than Germany, better than Japan. And those are the world leaders, in 15, 20 years they are. So your sun shines fine. Your sun shines fine, right? And then obviously Nova Scotia Power, they say, oh, they are very difficult to deal with. I come from utility. I understand we're under different regulations. When I was a utility, I would say, I love to entertain all your requests, but I'm on the line to keep the lights on. Right, so I'd be very careful, right? But we get to somewhere. So Nova Scotia Power was able to show us where we can go. You can see on the far right, right? The red ones, they said, you will pay millions of dollars if you want to connect. The green ones, they say you probably be okay. You still need to pay. It's probably still okay, right? So that's the level. So the middle is where we are. We have development from Yarmouth all the way to Cape Breton, and we selected about 8 sites just to try over the province that where's the best, right? I think from Chester's perspective, I would say you're close to a major city, Halifax, and the infrastructure here is more better than Guysborough in those places, right? And that's where we say, and also I would say, Peter Johnson and Crystal was very helping us to understand your needs, right? So that's where you're not the first one. We have done the other 4 2.5 years ago, and we continue to pushing them forward. Okay. Specifically on your site. So that's the one turbine you own. I'm sure that it's a good investment, I would say.
It has been, yes.
Right. And I would say we will do no worse, if not better, right? And because the limitation is 10 megawatts, we cannot do bigger because government wants to say everyone get a little, especially after they took 800 megawatts away already. So we say, we can do 10 megawatts on the let me see, on the east side, right, of the turbine, right? So that's 10 megawatts, or we can do one on the left side, just let me see, pushing it forward. So that's one away, one of them. That's second place we can do. And then there's a third place we can do it on the other side of the road, or we can really move to the corners of it, right? So that we did desktop analysis. We studied the geos in this area, the interconnection in this area. So those are the 4 areas we could do.
And those are each size 10 megawatts.
Yeah, each side.
So you're telling me that we could do more than one out at that site if you separate them into the 10 megawatt categories, or?
You just
Like you're thinking, I would love to do so, tell you. I would love to actually build 40 megawatts here because that'd be half of the market. Yeah.
But 10 is it, you're telling me?
Yeah, if they say,
We just had to pick a,
Individual project, max size 10, I believe is.
yeah, I just wondered if we separated them into separate projects.
I would actually try it because in Ontario, we tried it. In Ontario, they said just the one. And then we say, okay, why is one? And later on, and the pressure, they say, as long as it's not abutting.
Mhm.
So what we did, we leave a strip in the
How
middle.
much space do you want into it?
A public road distance. That's what we did in Ontario. So in the States, we pushed for three, one on the side, one on the other side. So we give you choices. I mean, it's only 10 of them going to be awarded
Yeah.
Q1. We might as well
Yeah.
putting 4 of them and see what they say. We got council support, we got money, we have done engineering. The government yesterday was telling us, we probably go better prepared.
I know you're gonna get all this, but I mean, have you examined the grid? Because when we put our turbine out at Kaiser Met, we had to put our own 3-phase power line for several miles so that we can connect and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, will the grid handle that?
I think your turbine is about 27 kV line, 3-phase. We justify. Just fine, because this one need a 27 kV line and your 3-phase is 27, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So we pay millions of dollars to the utility for them to upgrade, right? It's part of the project cost.
So you've taken all that into consideration?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So now, I'm going to leave with you that for discussion and questions. So we have always been a policy taker and then, compliant with the local regulations and the desires. So in some places, such as Amanda's, they say, we just lease you the field and you own it, you manage it. Done. In some places, like Honeywell, they say, oh, the economics so good. We got the taxes right off. We have money and no, we don't need your money. Thank you very much, but you do it for us, right? And anything in between, such as with white sand impersonation, such as with caps casing. So we are here to, to actually, I would say, work with your desire, how to work. I think some general economics. If you say, I want to build it, the total investment will be $1.78 a watt. Total for 14 megawatts will be $25 million. So typically, you will say 80% from long-term debt will help you to get the long-term debt. 20% is equity, 20% of 25 million, but $5 million, I think, right? So that's what we could do. If you say we're just going to lease you the land, will be $40,000 a year, right? Those are our ballpark. I'm sure when we get into it, I will actually sit down with the economic development staff here to go through the models, making sure it's very transparent. One other thing I would say, as a utility people, we are price takers, and we cannot hit and run. We can run all we want, but after we put $25 million, I'm sure that I cannot run. Right? So that's why I would rather to be honest, to be straightforward, to be transparent to start with. So we look at the line items to know, right? So I just explained how we finance it. That's the chart on the side. So you can check out, we do have a AI Renewable 2023 limited partnership. Evan Rodenberg is the president CEO there. We do have, the accounting systems, reporting systems, where Climax and Solar Bank will be the development company, and we will be doing everything except the raise money, because the government says you have to have an arm's length relationship, making sure that the accounting is done correctly.
Andre?
Maybe you're gonna get here, I don't know.
Yeah, that's
So by way of background, so we have, as you pointed out, we have a turbine.
Yeah.
And we did that under a COMPIT program that was available at the time. It was from a business perspective, it was very obvious that this opportunity would be a good investment for our taxpayers. So whether it didn't, of course, it's wonderful that we're creating energy without fossil fuels, but it could have been a coal power plant or a wind power plant. From a business perspective, was a good investment. At first, I'm not sure how many slides there yet, but,
Down to the big bottom line.
I want making sure I deliver in 30 minutes.
Up till now, a big part of your presentation has been, convincing us that you are experts.
We are.
Message received.
Thank you.
Okay, so we accept that you're experts in this field and that you've done this before, it's not your first time. But, at least from this councilor's perspective, it has to there has to be an economic case for this. So there are many municipal governments in this province. I don't want to get too down into the weeds, but the barrier for entry into government in a municipality is not high. Okay. So sometimes governments will adopt policies that actually don't make sense or not even within their mandate. So municipalities are not currently mandated to meet certain emissions targets.
No.
They aren't. These are requirements of the provincial and federal governments. But sometimes because it makes interesting politics, we can get our pictures taken by EV chargers or next to solar farms, and it makes good baseball. That's not the interest of this councilor.
No.
I think probably not of this council. I shouldn't speak on behalf of them, but so we want probably before we would entertain any kind of partnership discussion, we would want to see the business case because that's what interests our taxpayers.
Yeah.
More than standing next to EV chargers and getting photos. They want to know that their tax money is being spent wisely. I think, your proposal of preparing an application and then at your cost, that's fine. You're an expert and you know this business that's not really very risky for the people we represent. But how we participate, or like in your application, you have to specify if there's participation from a business standpoint? No.
At the very beginning, it's only actually prescribed form to say, yes, we have permission to propose a site on this parcel number.
Yeah, that's very interesting to us. Okay, good. So I think, as you develop your idea, I think then we can start talking, do we want to have a 20% interest in your project or not, or do we just lease your land or whatever,
Depends on the man.
If you came and you said,
We have the maps ready, actually.
if you came to us tomorrow and you're a different business and you say, I want to make a factory that makes rubber gloves or something like that, and you wanted to put it in Kaiser Meadow.
Yeah.
We would entertain that use for the land and we would lease you land probably.
Yeah.
So if you want to put a solar farm there and you're doing a project by yourself, I can't imagine a scenario where we would have an objection to that. Whether we participate as a business partner is a business decision.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's an interesting conversation. And I guess just to give you some frame of reference from this councilor's perspective, that's where I think we're at.
Yeah. The municipal participation or First Nation participation and cooperative participation is not requirement in most places. In Ontario, it's a requirement. If you participate, you have priority points. In US, it's a requirement. If you participate, they give you additional incentives. Right, so it's really jurisdiction. But I think from a municipal act, that this certainly is not a function required of the municipal administration.
No, I think that the long and the short of this is we want to do environmentally the right thing, but it has to make financial sense to us.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line.
I can tell you this on that, and we're really aligned. If you ask me, I got to have a double-digit return on this thing, I will say no, because it's a utility investment. The best you can do is 10% IRR, right? If you say, no, I'm a utility, I'm a municipality, we are good with the utility return, then the same. So the number you accept will be the same as we accept, right? Because the government is not, yesterday, I think Peter Craig said clearly, if you come here asking for a high double-digit return, you're out of lunch. You know, we said, no, we're actually looking for a high single digit return. They said, well, you're more than likely to get our contract, right?
Well, I mean, our decision, I mean, sorry, I'll
That's okay.
I'll stop in a second. Our decision is simple. And whether we choose to be the owner, lease it, partner.
Yeah.
All depends on somebody tell me how much it's gonna cost.
Yep.
And how much money, what's the return?
That costs you $25 million, 9% return.
9%?
Yes. We run the numbers because I think Johnson.
9%.
Yes, you weren't lying.
No, we do about $50 million worth of this every year, so there are analysts, you know, we can quickly sit down, right?
Yeah. From our perspective, it's like, and to add more complexity to understand where we're coming from.
Yes.
You know, we have an ambitious plan to do a number of infrastructure projects that have nothing to do with generating power, which is, again, has nothing to do with our mandate. So this is a separate project that isn't really our mandate, but maybe an opportunity, and if it's a good story, that's nice too, but not really important. But we're gonna build roads, we're gonna build sewers, we're gonna do all the things that the public expects us to do.
And will the revenue help us do that?
And, you know, so we have to look then carefully at if we're gonna take a certain amount of money and we give it to you as experts at solar. You know, how will that impact our borrowing ability to undertake future projects? And we have a very ambitious capital plan. So that's also a factor in our decision, just so you know where we're at.
Yeah, I would say, sorry, Chris,
No, you go ahead.
yeah, I would say the easiest way for us to be selfish is lease us the land.
Okay.
That's the easiest.
That takes the risk away from us. so
Yeah,
that-
we're
that's
making
a-
sure to do a good job. We will not delay, we will not actually over budget, because that's what we deliver, the easiest. On the other hand, you know, if you say, well, how's my borrowing ability? I would say the borrow will not be on your shoulders. It's a non-recourse project finance. Right, so even my corporation, you know, is not on the hook, let alone my partners here. It's on the project level. It's non-recourse project financing. So in other words, the worst case can happen is the bank will take over the project. So they have a dear interest to keep it running because the sun shines, get the money enough to cover their debt coverage ratio, right? So that's what we have been doing over the last 10 years.
But if we own it, we'll absorb the debt. I mean, it'll become part of our debt.
But depends on how you structure it. If you can borrow, because municipality has great credit rating, you probably will be much cheaper, right? But if you say, I don't want to increase my corporation's lending, I could get you to go to banks to say, this has nothing to do with the corporation municipality. This simply borrowed against the project. That's how we did.
I'm sorry, Abdullah, you've been waiting for.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Banks are another story. I have no faith that banks will do what you think they'll do. But anyway, having said that, I guess my biggest question is just hypothetically, if you do the project.
Yes.
How big of a footprint would you use it?
50 acres.
50 acres?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So then we have to decide what we charge you for those 50 acres.
Yes, and we actually in the model of
$40,000.
9%, it's a $40,000.
So that's your figure.
You can check the figure yourself.
No, but how did you come up with that figure? Through our staff?
Because there are costs, like panels, inverters are very transparent, the labor right in Nova Scotia. So we, you know, it's a construction project, you know, there's a cost accounting estimate.
That's what they're offering. We don't have to take it.
You
But
don't
that's
have
not
to
a huge return for us. Over 35 years, that's only 1.4 million.
9%,
You know, it is.
9%. That's what the utilities make.
You know, I'm not sure. I'm not interested in the utility business myself.
Well, don't get excited.
Yeah.
I need more information.
Yeah.
I also am very curious about how, if the project is sort of self-debt financed, or if we take that debt on ourselves, how does that affect our borrowing ratio? If it doesn't affect it, well, that's another question, because then if the project's sort of handling that, it really is not an issue for us. We're just on the deed, basically. And that's not bad. If it's affecting our ability to borrow, you know, for other core businesses that we do here, then that's another matter, so. So I need to understand that from our staff.
Yeah.
What that actually means, or if we can even participate in that fashion.
Well,
Yeah, and when you talk about it, I mean, okay, if we get a 9% return if we own it. I mean, what's the what's the difference between the 40,000 and the whatever the return? I mean, somebody's gonna tell me all that.
How residential or whatever, would this provide electricity for?
5 kilowatts each will be 2,000.
2,000?
Yes. It's big.
Yeah.
It's big, yeah. Let me clarify to Sharon. During the 9% return is on the 25 million. You're not putting up 25 million. You're only putting 20% of it. You're only putting up 5 million. So your actual return on your equity is much higher, but we do not know your tax situation, so I cannot give you a levered after tax. You see what I'm saying?
No, Tim's gonna have to tell us what
this all means.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, so sorry I hijacked your.
No, I'm done.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I love this conversation.
I mean, for us, I think it's not really whether or not we would be willing to participate. I think we probably would be. That's only me. I mean, but 50 acres, we own 1,000 acres.
Oh,
So it's not like we don't have space for it.
Yeah.
It's environmentally the right thing.
Yeah.
What we have to decide is what makes, what option makes the most financial sense to us?
Yeah. Another option is that we work with the other municipalities at the very beginning, they're not sure. So we give them options to buy into it 5 years, 10 years, 15 years.
That might be something, if we don't have that.
Well, we might consider that.
Yeah,
Because just hash out the
Yeah.
financial details.
Yeah, somebody gotta show me the financial details,
Yeah, so
what makes.
We have models to go through today. I have the model on my computer.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I just like the idea of one bird in the hand is better than 85 in the bush with the lease. But that's my.
That's music to my ears.
Hey, you know what?
Well, that's because he's gonna make more money. doing
Well,
that.
hey, you know what? So you. Let him make money. You want to propose to somebody.
I just need to know, well,
I don't wanna spend, I don't wanna, unless it's not a good return, dude.
It hinges on whether we actually have to carry.
Yeah.
If debt is carried within the project and it doesn't show up as our debt. Like in terms of like when we report back to the province, then that's another matter. That kind of changes the nature of this project in my mind.
There'd have to be a special exemption or not to,
yeah,
because we borrow now for the landfill, even though we have a revenue stream to cover, it shows up in our borrowing. So there would have to be some special rules for this kind of project.
I don't know,
We'll look into
Yeah,
it and come back.
we're not gonna solve it here today, Rich, so.
no, I think, we're very much interested in the project, it's the approach that we take, and we need a financial analysis from our own staff to tell us what makes the most sense to us.
Not a problem.
Yeah, how it impacts future projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. So we want to go with the application, I guess is the question.
Yeah, so that's where on the next steps is really, we would appreciate that you allow us to use this parcel for your application.
I think we want to put the application, it's just a question of which
Yeah.
of the three options we use.
Yeah, and you don't have to make a decision today. As I mentioned, as I mentioned, we're a taker, we're not here to force our way or push a
You
point.
can try to put the fourth project in there, if you separate them, and make it work.
If you give me the direction to say we can subdivide, I will put in for you. I will put in for you.
What does the timeline look like for applications?
So yesterday, Peter was saying they open Q1, I assume it's January, but it will close by end of Q1. And there's a list of things we need to do. So the earlier you allow me I will earlier to get started. Yeah.
That's Q1 of the
Can't imagine.
Okay, under year, that's what I was wondering, yes.
There's no problem in the application.
No, I don't think we have any issues with that. And if you can get them to look at two of them instead of one of them or whatever. It's not a big deal to us.
2,000 people will be using electricity at a discount green from your solar farm. The solar farm on your
The
land.
environmentalists will love us, and if we make money, the practical.
So who looks after all this building and all that, yes, Nova Scotia Power?
No, we have a control center, actually, all this is.
Oh, I see.
Oh, bill, I think it's the building,
No, the building
yeah, sorry.
and the meter reading.
We make money, that's taxes we don't have to collect.
Yeah.
Richard, it's a 25-year agreement with Nova Scotia Power, is it?
So yesterday, the latest discussion is Nova Scotia Power is not going to be the gatekeeper, but the enabler, so they don't take the opportunity to take a layer of profit on our rate, on our subscribers.
Okay.
Yeah,
There, what, could you say that again, sorry?
so in the past, the original design is that we sell the power to Nova Scotia Power at this price. And then they in turn sell to
Yes.
To us.
at this. We said, no, that's not the spirit of community solar. Community solar need to benefit the community. So now the government is thinking is that we directly talk to the residents, subscribe, and they will pay Nova Scotia Power to using their wire. We pay them for using their billing service. That's as laid out yesterday.
That's why, so that's in stone or?
Until it's done, it's not done, as everything, but we push it hard, because we said, no, that's not, you're not buying from me for
No,
9 cents,
I know.
and you sell to residents at the 16, you still say, wow, we did a great thing, no, where's my money in the middle?
So, this is, I've always struggled with all these projects and how this works, because you're not the first that have come and presented and to say, we're gonna generate power and we're gonna sell to people, but we have to go through Nova Scotia Power to get there, and this transmission cost has always been an issue for every project. I mean, I really, I'm a simple person.
Yeah, you were.
I'm very simple. I don't understand how it is that we can generate power less, at a lower cost than Nova Scotia Power, and then and somehow, even though they've been in business of generating power for like 150 years, and then we're gonna transmit power using their infrastructure, and somehow we're gonna do that whole thing for less than if they were to do it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I don't know, maybe they have so much profit in their number that there's room there, I don't know the answer.
No, their profit is 9%, right? So what happens is that if you look at the generation, they have to pay for the natural gas for coal and so on, so this is getting very expensive. Where we produce electricity, we don't pay for the fuel. I don't pay for the light, sun doesn't collect from me, right? So we have no fuel costs. That's about 30% of the electricity cost already.
And I think, Andre, if you look at it, they're no different than probably Citywide or Purple Cow. They buy stuff from Bell and Rogers at a large amount, and they get a discount, and they sell it for a discount. They don't have the infrastructure, but they use their line.
Yeah, we pay them a lot.
So it's probably the same thing, even though they can sell it cheap.
I can't wait to see the financial.
Yeah, they're fine. Yeah.
Okay.
So go put in the applications and our finance people are gonna give us what makes the most sense financially in terms of the method which we participate.
That's you too.
But yeah, we can have our CA to sit down with you to walk through all this.
Do we need a motion to do that?
I think it's, they would have something to take.
Yeah, show the approval.
So you can give direction to put a motion on for next week, or you can make a recommendation and we can provide the motion.
Let's just do it.
It's only Cal this week, right? So we
Make a
can get the
recommendation
motion.
to council that we proceed with an application in partnership with Solar Bank.
Yeah.
For a community solar garden project in Fresh Meadow.
Seconder, discussion, all those in favor, opposed, motion's carried. And you get to all the financial stuff and let us know what makes sense.
Thank you so much. Really,
Thank you.
really appreciate it.
Take care.
We will not disappoint you, I'll tell you that much. Thank you. Yeah.
No, we're gonna be in business together, we gotta make sense of both of these. Okay, we're taking a short break.
Yeah.